Yeah.
So there is a need to have a first aid box in every organization. For instance, if there is a bleeding, if the hand is not chopped off, maybe the finger, there is a bleeding, there is management control on the aid box to have first aid treatment before the person can be taken to hospital properly. So it's not only just having the injury, but how to manage its occurrences if it does happen. You understand? So I think that is another good example.
Yeah, that's a very good example. I think I've also seen that happening in especially these for instance, I know the printing companies, where they have to cut paper using machines, and people are operating on the guillotine machine, which is you operate it you operate it manually. You have to press certain buttons for the blade to come down and cut down paper. But if you are, and the knife that they use is so sharp and so heavy, so any slight mistake you make, it will just slice off your finger like it's just passing over tissue. It just slices it without struggle, without any stress. And once you press, the machine will only stop when the blade reaches down.
Wow.
So such risks, such places also, there is need for measures to be put in place. Apart from the training that one can get, there is also need for protective gear people should wear in case of such occurrences. Accident happens. Accidents happen. One can be trained to have knowledge on how to operate and how to prevent themselves. But there are times when there are unforeseen circumstances. One can be knowledgeable over the machine, but if they come for work on that particular day, maybe they are mentally disturbed. Their focusing is not properly. Anything can happen. They can injure themselves as they are working. So I think protective gear also would be something so ideal, especially to those that are working and just handling, that are doing manual handling work. Protective gear also is very, very important.
I think I want to also cite an example. Doc just he just mentioned reporting ailments. We will have a reporting line that every staff have to know that, this person is suffering from this person is suffering from this, so that effectively we can manage ourselves. There is this incident that occurred not rightly in my office, but just behind my office. We share 6-story building, so the other office. So they didn't know the client, the staff was suffering from. It was an asthmatic patient. So they did a painting, on Saturday and Sunday. So on Monday, when they resumed work, when the staff, all of them walked into the office, the asthmatic patient reacted to the painting because of the chemical, the chemical of the paint. You understand me? And immediately she reacted. So on that process, because most of us there, just like we are just having some insight now, we don't have this healthcare training. We don't know what to do. All of us, we are just, if we are taught for aid, once we have a reporting line that we know our health status, and if this so occur, maybe asthmatic, BP patient, and what have you, this is what we need to do first. We could have done it, but because we don't know what to do, all of us were in panic, and we rush the person to the hospital immediately. Thank God nothing happened. She was able to recover. So I think it's another aspect, not just the injury aspect, but for all of us to know our health status, working together in the office, so that what can instigate the reaction of this element of this person, so that you know how to manage this person, how to work effectively, so that in synergy we can grow. So if every institution have this reporting line of your health status, I think it will also go a long way in managing it within ourselves, and to know what and what. For the asthmatic patient, we just painted our office. You don't need to resume. You need to resume maybe in 5 days' time, in 1 week time, depending on when the chemical must have subsidized, so that you don't really spark your reaction. So I think that is another aspect, to me, that this health manual handling is just pointing out. I think it's a good one to me.
That's true. Then I think also this. I think this is also.
Hello,
very
can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, that's. Hello. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
That's a very actually good example. It's a perfect example for what we are looking at, and I'm also looking at you in Nigeria, right?
Yes, I'm in Nigeria.
Nigeria, okay. Yeah, I like in Nigeria, you have a lot of these Okada riders, and from the movies I've watched, they are probably.
We don't have proper management.
Yeah, they are probably people that own maybe 10, 15 Okadas, and they give them out to drivers. They employ riders to ride those Okadas, but there's no safety whatsoever. The guys are not wearing helmets. They're not wearing any protective gear, no gloves. Some will be wearing shorts. They're wearing slippers. There's no safety in that area. They can be
proper safety measure.
Yes, they can be professionals, yes, but accidents happen. Accident happens. So what happens if he's being too careful, he's riding, and someone suddenly comes and hits him from behind and he loses control? He falls down. What happens to his body? He'll be bruised all over the place. So there is need, actually, because even here we have Okadas, but mainly it's for deliveries of goods and not people. So even with those ones, there are ground policies that the government regulates, where you cannot ride without having a helmet, but there is still need for protective gear, and that's one area that the government is not looking at. But as people who have been exposed to such knowledge, we can bring awareness of the importance of having these protective gear. It's just to help people understand that there is more to just being experienced, knowing how things operate. The risks are still high. There is need for you to protect yourself. Away from knowing what you're supposed to do, you also need to protect yourself. I'll give an example of not too long ago we had this incident where we had one of our former famous footballers in our country who was involved in an accident. It was all over social media. Yes. The gentleman was in an accident. He was driving somewhere with his girlfriend, and the car lost control. Both of them, were swept off the road. The girl died instantly. Then the gentleman was, battling with his life, probably taking his last breath. So there was a bus, a public transport, small bus that was passing. The people inside, after seeing the accident, they say, accidents, people will stop, they want to watch, others will be taking photos, videos, others are posting on Facebook, this is what is happening. But we thank God that among those people, there was one lady who was just from being trained as a nurse. So she had ideas of how to do first aid, because when the accident happened, everybody was just watching. They didn't know what to do. They were expecting
what to do.
Yes, so when this young lady came, because of the knowledge she had, she was able to advise, okay, let's remove this man, put him here. Then she performed CPR on him. That's how they managed to keep him breathing. That's how, they managed to keep him alive. So, no, let him sleep like this. Don't turn him, don't move him, leave him like this. Put his head this way until paramedics came to fetch him, to take him to the hospital, and that's how the guy survived.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So most people actually die not necessarily because an accident has happened, but because they've been handled from the accident. Between the accident and the hospital, here things have been done wrongly. You find, okay, yeah, at the end of the day, maybe blood has gone into the lungs. This has happened, because people don't know what to do first when an accident happens. So such knowledge is so profound, I think, to also be taught to the community.
Good one.
Yeah, and I'll start looking at the demonstration of equipment, just how it is used, not the full demonstration of the procedures in the care homes or the domiciliary or residential homes. But I want to expose the students to the equipment that exists. This discussion, which just ended, enables people to have a theoretical understanding and the need for use of equipment. So in this section, I want you as students to know what the employer provides. And if you're working on a ward or in a domiciliary care where service users don't need this type of equipment, you may never see it. But when we're training, we do give you the full overview of everything that you need to know about the equipment that is essentially provided when there's need for these moving and handling activities. So it's very essential for you to follow through what we're going to be discussing here and observing. Make sure you have a fair understanding of what will be required of you when you do happen to go into the sector working with other service users. Very important for you to take into consideration of the safety of the clients themselves and your own safety and your colleagues. The employer will provide this equipment, and your role or duty of care is to use the equipment, which is why you're on this training. And I hope that as we go through this system of showing what we have and how it works, you will take it on board and do the actual placement. So let's get started and let's have a clear overview of what equipment we can look at. And I want you to get ready as the video clip comes back on, then we can start looking at all these details. And I trust that you find useful information as you go through this course. And on the e-learning system, that's where all the materials are placed. You will see the practical movement, the essential movements that you are supposed to learn. But in this video clip, you will look at what exactly do we have in terms of equipment. I trust and hope that you will learn much more. Okay, I hope you can see clearly. Can you see? Can you see behind there? There is this equipment I want to show you. It's called the hoist. It has got brakes on the pedals there, and I'll see you a few functionalities. Make sure that you can see it clearly. I'm sure it's visible. So to move the hoist, just drag it backwards, and brakes, as you can see, that's how you press them. But there are some things I want to show you here. Very important. This hoist is normally used when people have no mobility. They need to be transported from one place to the other, and this rod you see, it actually lifts. I will demonstrate how this works so that you can appreciate. But I want to make one point very clear, that hoists are very important because they prevent you from lifting a person manually with your hands. So the hoist itself will do the actual lifting. So I will show you how that does and how it works. Okay, all you need to do is use the system that is provided by the employer. As you can see now that this hoist, I can tell you good news, it is a very expensive equipment. A lot of money is spent in buying just one hoist, and only used by the service users who need it. So it's very important for you to note that. Now, what are the components of this hoist? But I want to point for you, that's a battery. That battery must be fully charged, and it is a handler there. The handler has got the arrow up and arrow down that will enable the hoist to go up or down. That's very, very important, and I'll show you how that works. Imagine you're going to lift somebody without a hoist. To be too much weight on your body, but the hoist takes over that job. You see that rod, it goes up and very, very high. You press it so high, depending on how far you want to go, that goes higher and higher and higher. And at the bottom there, you see that's where the service user will be placed. It's essential for you to know how this thing works. Every morning you come, or afternoon or evening, whatever time you go there, you must test the hoist so that it's in good working condition. Otherwise, it will cause problems for the next carer or provider. So to take it down, the handler has a button that you press it down. Can you see that? Nice and smooth, without you actually having to lower or lift a person manually. You do this by using this hoist. Very important equipment. Very important equipment. And I also want to show you that this hoist has got the brakes, which I demonstrated at first, and you can put them to secure it so it doesn't move. Another thing is the battery must always be fully charged, and this battery looks like this. This battery has got its own charger, which I'll show you in a little while. And I want you to know that it's important that the battery is fully charged. Every time you finish work, you must put it on the charger so that other service users or other carers, or nurses or staff who need to use it must find it fully charged. It's very important for you to note this. In the care plan, you see somewhere to write what's happening, what's obtaining. So this is a powerful battery. I want to show you where it goes back in the same place. It must show it fully secured. Now I'm going to show you the battery charger, and you must always plug this battery charger in while the battery is on it. I will make sure that you have the observation of this equipment, you have the knowledge of this equipment. Once you have the knowledge of the equipment, it will be very important for you to use it properly. Yes, that's a charger, and the cords that you see there, you've got to plug it in somewhere. Okay, that's very important. This must be done every single day. Make sure that you place the battery on the charger, and the charger must not be faulty. Here, the plug I'm showing you right now, you put it in the socket. Yeah, very important. If it's plugged in, how does it look like? That battery goes right in that space. It's a simple hinge where you hook it in there, and once it fits in there, that's how it looks like. It looks superb, and at the bottom there's a green light. When you plug it in, the green light or red light will tell you how much charge the battery has. It's important that you look at this every time you go to work to make sure that the hoist will operate. If the battery is not charged, it means other people will be affected, in particular your client or the service user who may need to use it. How do you know that it's fully charged? At the place where I pointed, there's 4 bars. If they're black, then it's fully charged. If they're blank, it's out of charge. You must distinguish when you have temporarily disconnected the battery from when the battery is completely discharged. When you come for an actual practical to come and see how this works, I will demonstrate that. So that is the hoist. Once you know that the hoist is held, you can use it. Maybe to appreciate how this works, I'll just do something for you. Maybe do a short demonstration. It's not a full demonstration because I'm on my own. I just want to show you how this works with the pedals there, why they have to widen the foot base, just for you to appreciate the functionality of the hoist. It's very important, very important. Now, I widen the foot base in order to move. Let's look at the maneuver. Imagine this is Mr. Brown. I call him Mr. Brown. I've called this mannequin Mr. Brown for a long time. Not anything to do with the name of a person, but yes. So the foot base can widen so that you allow the hoist and the chair to fit. Can you see? I widen the foot base, and again I would want to close it slightly so that it balances. Okay, so the foot base must widen to allow the chair in. So once I do that, I can close it to allow my other carer or service carer or colleague to have space where to stand. Can you see? That's the way the hoist works. Now, with this information, when you're in the workplace, having been trained, you will be able to do a maneuver. Let's see how this can be done. I repeat, this is not the official full procedure. All I'm showing you is how the hoist itself works. The actual procedure of placing the service user and also doing the sling and the placement of the wheelchair or anything that you want to move the service user into will be done properly. Here, because you're doing an observation of the equipment, what it is, and how it works, I just want to give you a feel of it. Okay, a feel of it. So now I take the hoist out of the place. I want to show you how we can move Mr. Brown into his wheelchair. Remember, you only use the hoist and the wheelchair for people with no mobility. They have lost mobility in their legs, so much of their legs, much of the energy is not there for them to do these things, which is why you are employed as a carer, to provide care to the service user so they can also enjoy life in the situation they are. Now, this sling you see is called a sling, S-L-I-N-G. It's got straps and the leg side as well. So the need here is to have the service user sit in the sling. It's got a comfortable side and the rough side. Normally, we use the comfortable side to make the service user sit. Now, imagine that we follow the proper procedure and we've put the service user and with Mr. Brown here on the sling. Okay, but I emphasize you must learn the proper procedure of how to put this person in there. And this kind of work is not a one man or one woman. There gotta be two of you. Do not accept this role if you're on your own on the ward or in the care home or domiciliary. There must be two of you, because we need to make sure that the service user is safe and secure, and even yourself. Remember, the need for provision of equipment is that it's easier for you to make certain maneuvers, and it safeguards your health and safety, very important. Okay, so let us see how this can work. The end goal is to show you how the hoist works with the sling. If I imagine that Mr. Brown was properly put in there in the right procedure, not the way I'm doing, because I just want to show you how actually you can use the hoist. Many of you are wondering, how does this hoist work? Somebody, when we showed them the picture of the hoist in the area trainings before the actual final examinations, a number of people said it was a printer. You can imagine how many people have not seen this, but for you, we are starting on a good note. We show you what a hoist is like and how it looks like. Now we've placed Mr. Brown in the chair there. We're going to move him into a wheelchair. Okay, Now let's see how this can be done with the hoist. You can see the foot base is widened, and we're going to make sure that we lower that hoist to a place where the two of you can now put Mr. Brown into that sling. Remember, there must be two of you. Now here, I just want to show you and appreciate how the hoist works. Okay, now I'll put on brakes there. Ideally, we don't put on brakes when we're doing these things for reasons when you come to a full practical movement handling, you understand, because we are in pairs. So here now, let's have a look on how we're going to do it. I'm pressing the handler, it's going down. On the other right hand of my, you can see I've pressed the handler, it's going down slowly to a place where Mr. Brown cannot hit himself there, and to a place where the slings can go in. We get to that place slowly. We get the other service user, the other carer on this side to put in the cords there, which are adjustable, and over that side as well you do the same. This is to secure Mr. Brown in the sling so we can lift him up and take him in his wheelchair. The key point is a demonstration of how our hoist works. This is not the right procedure. The right procedure in terms of putting the man in the sling will come at the practical session. But I want you to observe how the equipment itself works. You must take this into consideration. I don't want you to use this video as the actual procedure. I just want you to know how the hoist works. I emphasize that point. Do not edit and take a clip and say that this is how I was taught. No, this is not a full demonstration. It is a demonstration of how the actual hoist works. And this is not the only hoist that you have. There are different types of hoists in different forms depending on the needs of the service user. The care plan demonstrates that. The hoist is there to help us not to lift manually, physically with our hands. We want to use the equipment to lift the person. That removes strain on our bodies and we can work longer in the sector. Now, how do we move? But very importantly, we're going to use a handler and lift him up. But I've noticed one thing there. Normally, we could crisscross on the legs for dignity, because service users sometimes they move their legs about. So to prevent that, we crisscross so that their legs are intact for dignity. And this will be made clear when we do the actual moving and handling practical. Very important stuff to note and important stuff to remember. There we go. Now, once it's secure, we continue using the handler and we lift up. Now, if there's a pair of you, there should always be a pair. The other one will hold the service user on the other side, which I will demonstrate very quickly. You will be able to hold it that side like that. And mostly, the best way to hold it is behind and hold on the side. But because I'm just showing you the way the hoist works, that's not a focus at this moment in time. So the hoist lifts up the patient in the sling, and you do not feel any weight on your body, and this enables you to work longer in the industry because it prevents injury. That's why training, remember, one of the aims of the training was to prevent injuries, and injuries are prevented from having proper training. So what you do now, you move the hoist. The hoist is intended to move only a few yards, a few distance, not long distances. Can you see that? Okay. So once you do that, you simply put the brakes on, and then you lower the service user into his wheelchair. How beautiful is that? I emphasize, I'm showing you how the hoist works, and this is not a full demonstration of the procedure. However, look at that. The hoist is lowering the service user in his own wheelchair without you having to drag him to help you to put him in the wheelchair. That's the use of the hoist. This is essential for you as a care provider and a care worker. You stay longer in the industry because you're not experiencing a load of weight on your body, but you are using the equipment that is provided. That is why the duty of care for the employer is to provide the equipment. We saw that into when we're looking at acts and legislations, it's a law in the United Kingdom, at least, for every employer to provide equipment. Okay? And also, it is law for you as an employee to use equipment that is provided. Since you're on this course, I would like you to go and revisit the acts and regulations. Okay, the acts and regulations that govern moving and handling or health and safety in this realm. Can you see what has happened there? Without much use of energy, but equipment, which is a hoist and a sling, we put Mr. Brown in his own chair. Again, I emphasize Mr. Brown isn't just a name I used to call my mannequin. I've used that name for many, many years. And I hope that as you're watching this video clip, you are learning much, much, much more. And you've got an exposure to how the hoist can be used and how the hoist works. How do you think? I'd like you for you to do your own reflection on how you think about this equipment. It is very essential, and that I do not see this in some parts of Africa, in particular Zambia, where I am. I think it's very good. I see that people will be very safe when they are using their hoist, and it also brings a greater understanding of the fact that somebody can be prevented from getting injured and you lose less energy. So it's very important for anybody to work in this care sector with the use of equipment wherever it is needed. But what you must know essentially is this: not every service user uses this equipment, but if it's needed, it'll be provided. The care plan is a master record of what's needed about every service user. You could be in a nursing home, you can be in a domiciliary care. Wherever you go to care for service users, there will be a description of what type of provision they require. If in the care plan it talks about the hoist and what's needed, you will be instructed. Let me talk about the sling. The sling is color coded. On that hoist, there are colors for medium, large, and extra large, etc. But if the service user, due to injury or lack of certain body movements, they say that these straps can only be on the blue because that's why I feel comfortable, it doesn't strain me, follow that care plan. Interesting stuff. So with this, I would like you to make your own notes and be able to reflect. When you are actually using equipment in any workplace, it's also protective to your own system, and the important part to remember always with equipment is this: for every type of equipment you have, you will be trained. This is just an overview of the general type of equipment you find in different places. These are very common, but if there's a specific one that is required, your employer will train you in that area. Your employer will make sure that you are inducted. Very important. Do not go and attempt to use any equipment if you are not able to use it. And in fact, against the law, it's against the law for you to use equipment without being trained. This is why you come here for training. The duty of care as an employee, you brought yourself on this course, and you present your certificate to your employer saying, I've been trained. And they see the certificate and they accept it. And it's a responsibility now to retrain you on other equipment. So now, let me show you some other equipment that are very important. But I want you to know that this is a wheelchair. A wheelchair is another part of equipment that's provided. It's not you who's going to ride in the wheelchair. to the service user who's not able to use their legs. You put them in the wheelchair in the manner that I demonstrated, and then you can wheelie them wherever they want to go. Sometimes we do not use the wheelchair because we don't understand it. But let me show you, there are different types of wheelchairs. This particular one has got pedals, like you see. You can fold them, they're adjustable. You can fold them, and also if you want to take this wheelchair and put in the boot of the car, you fold it like that. In modern times, many of these wheelchairs have got folding mechanisms with very tiny wheels, but very effective. So you can fold that wheelchair and you can open it like that. And you find that some wheelchairs, they've got a seat belt in that place. You can put a seat belt there to protect the service user from falling. That's very important for you to know. You will be the person to wheelie the service user in this wheelchair, but not you to be in the wheelchair. That's why I'm emphasizing for you to have that kind of basic knowledge. You are the person who will be looking after the service users and helping them to go into the wheelchair and wheelie them. That's very important to know. Another piece of equipment we have is called the Tri-Walker. Have you ever seen one of these before? In England, they're very popular. A Tri-Walker, you've seen it before? Good. The Tri-Walker has got 3 legs and 3 wheels, and the service user who can't balance their legs, it provides some independence on the ability to walk. It's got the brakes over there. You can release them, and also by pushing them down, you apply the brakes. So the service user could be using to walk with it like that. And here, this is where you put your stuff that you buy. You can go shopping with it, and there's also another storage over there. They provide quite good independence for the service users, you see. And old age sometimes can cause people to lose mobility, but it provides independence by using a Tri-Walker like that one. So that's very important for you to know. When you go in this industry, you'll be able to help many people because you know how things work. So it's very important for us to be able to do this. Now we can also use this technique to fold it and put it in the boot of the car, and the service user drives somewhere. Then they can open it up with your assistance, and you reassemble it, and you go in a shop, a supermarket, moving around, picking up stuff. You know, it's about promoting independence. If they still have energy to use it, let them use it according to the care plan, and they are picking stuff and putting them there in the while they are shopping. It's just improving the lifestyle of the service user, which is why you are employed as a carer. So this equipment is essential to be used. It removes the need for you to carry the service user in your hands and dragging her or him. You just promote independence. It's a very good thing to note. Now let's look also at another piece of equipment that we do have. It's called the Zimmer frame. The Zimmer frame has 2 types. This one you see here has got wheels at the bottom there. Have you ever seen one of these? That's very good. Now the Zimmer frame has got 2 types, as I said, one with wheels, you can see there. Another type hasn't got wheels at all. Now this Zimmer frame is for people who still have mobility in their legs. All they require is a bit of support, and that's how they use it. They push, they drag, and move one step exactly. So, and mostly the district nurse come to train them on how to use this, but you as a carer, you must be aware of how this works. It's very essential, and you find that the use of the Zimmer frame does actually provide a lot of independence which they could not have otherwise had. Very different from the Tri-Walker because it has got no bag where to put shopping. is not designed for that, simply to support the service user as they go about. And I want to show you a wide range of equipment so that you are familiar with this. So when you go into employment as a carer, you will be well knowledgeable. The knowledge you acquire here at Westminster Open College will empower you, and many people, the employers, when you do come from our institution, because we've been around for a long time and we follow the standards of the United Kingdom, in particular the stipulation of the CQC, the things they want care companies to have in their employees, we do train. So we're going to look at more stuff, and I believe that you will enjoy, and as you learn, you will become properly qualified. But I emphasize, don't forget to book a practical demonstration in the center right here in Warsaw. For those who are online abroad in other countries, we will write a letter for you if you want to request for it, so that you can show that to any center for you to continue practice. Now, the one that I'm bringing here is called the profiling bed. It's a very similar bed to what you see in the hospitals. And for this particular one, we haven't got rails in there. Some parts got broken because of moving places. But the idea of the profiling bed is very clear and will become very clear in this demonstration. The profiling bed has got brakes, like we are pressing. I've got to secure the brakes so that it doesn't move about as you are working on the service user while they're in bed. And this is electrical. The bed is electrical, and what I'm showing you there is a power lead. You plug it in the socket and you must switch it on, and you see how this will become clear as we demonstrate. I'll put here my special mannequin which I call Mr. Brown, and then we demonstrate the importance of the profiling bed. Imagine that's the patient or the service user on the bed, and that sling, I'll demonstrate to you the importance of it. But let's look at the bed itself. So it's very important for us to understand what this bed can do for the service user. And everything that you need to do with the profiling bed on it, the service user, must be in the care plan. Equipment is not just there. Okay, let me move about a little bit so that you can see exactly what we are doing. I want to become very, very clear. So, ideally, when you're on the ward or in a nursing home, this is a 2-people operation. Do not operate it by yourself. Make sure that you check everything is okay, the power is on, and the handler is working. Now, let me demonstrate the handler. The handler has got on my left-hand side, probably which is your right if you're watching, the arrows pointing up. It is activating the action. The bed up or bed down. Bed up is on the right where I'm pointing, or your left. Then on the other side where the arrow is pointing down is to deactivate. You can raise the height of the bed. You can raise the head side of the service user and so forth. Now, for those people who are not in the vicinity of our center, wherever you are in the world, go and have a look at any of these beds in a hospital or a health center. Make sure you seek permission. We can write a letter for you. How does it work? The handler lights up once you switch it on from the plug. It also shows that the bed is working. If that is not working, you must take it for service. Okay? Now let's see how this works. We are going to demonstrate. The first thing we're going to look at is the bed height. And you'll see the importance of the bed height. As you can see, I'm placing the bed height and the bed is rising up. And this is important when you're working with 2 of you and you need to do something with the service user. You must raise the bed to a height that suits you, but also compromise the height with your fellow carer. Okay. Now the idea is to avoid bending, which is why that handler will help us to raise the height or not. I'm not demonstrating the full procedure here, which is why you see the wire can go everywhere, not on top of the service user. Remember this is not a demonstration of a procedure, but I want to show you how the profiling bed works. So the height that you choose must not allow you to bend too much. Health and safety is about preventing injury. Some of the injuries happen over time. So if you're repeatedly bending too low, your back can start having issues. So the bed height must be controlled. So use a handler. And also, if you see at the top there, I want to see the service user sit up. So I'm gonna use the handler to raise up the service user's head. And how much you raise him up or her depends on what the care plan says or what the need of the service user at that time is. Some of it could be medically recommended that he should sit in this position when he drinks such medicine. I don't know. But I want to use this opportunity to show you how the profiling bed works. Why is it called profiling? It can change. It can go in any profile that the service user needs. If you want to cancel, to lift up the legs, you press the symbol of legs lifting on the handle and the legs move. That shape can be very comfortable when the service user needs it, and it can be an essential part of calming them down or improving their lifestyle as they're in the situation, which is why you are there as a carer to promote that lifestyle and encourage independence as far possibly as you can. These beds are very comfortable. So if you see the way the service user is sitting there and the legs are flowing nicely and there's no pain to the service user, and it was a thing that is recommended in the care plan, you have to do it using the profiling bed, and by use of a handler, this is possible. Sometimes you can find that a service user uses this posture when they are drinking a cup of tea. Sometimes they're watching television, or as the case might be. Imagine that the profiling bed wasn't there. You'll be putting pillows behind him, pillows there to raise the profile. But thank God for the technology of these types of beds, the profiling bed. It's very essential. I would like to have your reflections on this, how you see this. This is very clear. You're saying yes. And you've seen this on the words, and you justify the price of the bed. The price of these beds are so expensive, very expensive. One of these can be £4,000. So you agree that it's worth the price. Okay, I understand that. So it's very essential that these beds are provided, and it makes life easy. You've seen some of this in the words, and it looks good for you to know how it works, and it will prevent injury, and you can stay longer in the sector because you're using equipment. It's very essential, very comfortable, very comfortable. If you're happy with this, we'll proceed and look at what else we can do. So if you are in that part of the world where you don't have this kind of material or equipment, I recommend that through you can begin to change systems. Your organization can invest in this, and I take a deal to be able to do business with you, because I believe that improving our systems, in particular for many candidates who have come on the program from Africa, it's important for us to filter this knowledge to our companies we work for. Let them invest in things like this. In the long run, you also make money back to you because you've got good equipment. So in summary, how do we cancel out? Now I want to take Mr. Brown back. I cancel out. Arrow down, the head bed goes down. To stretch the legs is also like that. So it's very simple. Imagine how that would be so difficult if you're using manpower as it was in those days before the coming of equipment. This is why when you come to the Westminster Open College and Lukomna Johnny University, you learn skills, and these skills are life skills. that will take you a long way. So now, with this in mind, I want us to look at this comfort of the mattress. It's a type of mattress that is medically recommended. It also follows the shape of your body. It's not like a very rigid mattress. So these profiling beds are very important. And I've seen that there is a type that you can use domestically, even though you're not in need, but they are designed differently like a normal bed. All the functionalities of a profiling bed are there. So it's something that you can invest in as a person if you want to have such comfort in your house. But I guarantee you, they are very expensive. So now, let us look at other aspects, and then we can conclude the demonstration. We will let you have your own reflection. When you go on the e-learning system, you must essentially start recording what you have learned, and you are going to see much of the demonstration. And I'm going to end with this sliding sheet. You've never seen one before. Not very common in Africa. In England, the United Kingdom, we have lots of these because they're essential. I'll show you how they're used. Why is it a sliding sheet, a simple piece of cloth with a special material? This special material slides on itself. Now, when I talked about the bed height, I want to show you how to move the service user in the middle, because you eventually want to bring the hoist and lift him up. But his head is tight against the wall, so I'm going to use the slide sheet with my colleague, 2 people all the time. I just want to show you how the slide sheet works, not the procedure of how to fit it in, because I require 2 people for this task. Remember, it's important to have 2 people. A slide sheet is got a hollow in between. The idea is that these 2 pieces will slide one with another, and the material it's made of is very fine material. Think of a raincoat. There's no fragments of big cotton wool or things like that. This material is very expensive and very special. It allows the 2 pieces to rub against each other, enabling the motion of sliding, which is why it's called the sliding sheet. Now let me show you how this works. Okay, when the service user is on top, he will be sliding just like that. So you're not feeling the weight of the person to move them. It's a very important practice and very important invention. Simple as it looks, but very essential. It keeps you longer in the industry. The service user will be put by another person on the other side, not the way I'm doing because I'm alone. So the other person will roll him or her on the other side, and I put the thing down there, and I roll him back to myself, then the other person pulls it. This is not a full demonstration. I just want to show you how the slide sheet works. Now, once the slide sheet is in place and the service user is on top of it, I'm going to hold it in that way, just like a tug of war, and the other person will hold it in the same way. Then 1, 2, 3, or we say ready, steady, slide. We're going to just slide the person like that. The other person is sliding the way. This avoids me to put the service user's arm under me like it used to happen in those days. Those movements are illegal in the United Kingdom. So we use the slide sheet. Very essential. So you invest one of these. Once we put the service user in the right position, maybe we want to move the slide sheet out of the way in a manner that I've shown you, but there's a proper demonstration for you to remove, not this one. I just want to show you how other things work. I then want to move this service user into his wheelchair or another place using a hoist. So I'm going to have to take a sling, which we used at first during the wheelchair demonstration. So the sling will now be in the same position as the slide sheet. How does that work? I've got to find the comfortable side of the sling and the head part of the sling to position in the right place so that we put Mr. Brown on it or in it. And there are procedures in order for you to do that. He is rolled on the other side by a service user, a kayak carer, and the other carer pushes it like that. So once we have the Mr. Brown in the right place in that sling, we now look at where the actual slings, which are the strings there, where they are very tough ones and they unbreakable, but in case there's a tear in it, do not use. Then I go to collect the hoist, and you see clearly how this works. So I bring the hoist over there. Mind you, this movement is done with two people. So here I'm just demonstrating how the equipment works. Not that is the right procedure, no. I just want to show you how the equipment itself works. These procedures can only be done properly with two people. So I put now Mr. Brown in the sling by hooking those the slings or strings to the hoist in the right places, and these are adjustable actually to fit in the size and the comfort of the service user. Very important. We must always remember this. These are actually adjustable. So when you get the service user into the sling, you'll see how easy it is to lift him up, or if it's Mrs. Brown, to lift her up. So we also always remember crisscrossing for dignity. Service users, sometimes they kick about, especially if the equipment is just been recommended. They're not used to it. They don't want to fight it. Now, once you put the service user in there, you use a technique to drop the hoist, to lift the hoist and drop the bed. So you can do simultaneously. The handler on the hoist is going to be going up. The handler on the bed is going to be going down to avoid too much lifting of Mr. Brown in the hoist. Can you see that? The lifting is taking place. This is a wonderful piece of equipment and a wonderful technique to lift the service user. No pain, no stress, not too much weight on your body as well. Then you do that. If there's two of you, the other carer will be rotating this sling where the service user is. Easy. So on this note, we would like to conclude the course. If there are no questions, I would like you to implement the knowledge by looking at the video clips, which are fully descriptive and demonstrative of the right procedures on how to use this equipment. If you are far abroad in other parts of the world where you have no access directly in your own employment, and you want to seek a letter of introduction so you can be placed voluntarily, or as the case might be, for you to have experience hands on this equipment, we can work for you. And I want you to take this on board. Make sure you memorize and understand how these pieces of equipment I've shown you today works. When it comes to employment, and an employer, when they see that you are actually qualified theoretically for those abroad who haven't gone through the actual practice there, and you have observed how equipment works, you are one notch up because you've got knowledge already, you are trainable, you are scalable. They will look at you. Should they give you employment, this will go a long way when you start working. Make sure you take it upon yourself annually, you renew this knowledge. There are updates that come, especially in the UK, which is why if you're in the practice already, you must, and I emphasize, you must update every year. Things, knowledge evolves, standards evolve, and improvements are incorporated into the new standards. Therefore, you must become aware. Even for the sake of you becoming more confident, an annual update is essential. So I'm inviting you to this. And if you do know anybody who would like to learn these techniques, you'd like them to have the knowledge of a care certificate, moving and handling, which is essential, let them come from the Westminster Open College and Lukumar Junior University, who will do a good job for him or her. And I want to emphasize this. You are very welcome at any time to come and touch our equipment and book your own session for those who are resident in the UK. For those who are abroad, as I said, the e-learning system contains a large number of materials in this program. The full health and safety program is there. You learn a lot of things by observation. And make sure that what you learn, you must always put into practice. Take this message on board. And I end there. Thank you very much, and God bless you.